My co-researcher smiled dirty in my face after stealing my work. I've dealt with this parasite since my first year in the doctoral program. My co-researcher, Ethan. And I don't mean friendly academic rivalry. I mean, if I optimized a cell culture protocol, he'd present a slightly tweaked version at the weekly symposium. If I identified a novel protein interaction, he'd rush the findings to our principal investigator and get his name listed first on the publication. It began subtly. I'd mention a new angle for a thesis in the break room. Ethan would call it a dead end, and a month later he'd secure a university grant using that exact premise. By my third year, it was suffocating. I spent a whole semester mapping out a complex genetic pathway. Ethan dug through my digital trash bin, salvaged the raw data, and submitted the abstract to a national conference the day before I planned to show my advisor. When I demanded an explanation, he just smirked and said, "Science waits for no one." Another colleague pulled me aside later. "Ethan's convincing the department head that you're just his lab assistant. You need to stake your claim, or you'll graduate with nothing." I never cared about the spotlight. I just wanted to do the work. But then my younger brother was diagnosed with a rapidly degenerating neurological condition. He was only in his 20s, and standard therapies were failing. I practically lived in the lab for 2 months, cross-referencing obscure clinical trials to design a highly specific experimental gene therapy protocol. It was a desperate personal Hail Mary to get him enrolled in compassionate use testing. I foolishly left my physical notebook on my desk while grabbing a coffee. Ethan noticed the complex equation. "Fascinating structure," he muttered. Days later, I brought the completed protocol to the University Ethics Board to request emergency authorization for my brother. The chairwoman looked at me with pity. "Ethan just patented this exact vector sequence yesterday through the university's commercial arm. He sold the exclusive trial rights to a private biotech firm." I sprinted to the research wing. Ethan was already popping champagne with the department head, my brother's lifeline projected on the whiteboard behind him. He brushed past me. "Brilliant foundational data. I'll make sure the firm sends you a thank you note." Because the patent was locked behind corporate red tape, my brother was denied the experimental treatment. He passed away shortly after, believing I just couldn't figure out the science in time. That's when I decided to feed Ethan a discovery so massive he'd blindly swallow it whole. I found the perfect poison pill through a former colleague who now worked in bioethics compliance. There was an underground offshore lab shopping around a revolutionary stem cell regeneration technique. It looked like a guaranteed Nobel Prize on paper, but my contact confided the horrific truth. The data was heavily fabricated, and the methodology flagrantly violated severe international laws regarding human cloning protocols. Anyone attached to the research would face federal prosecution and a lifetime ban from academia. I started leaving breadcrumbs. I'd loudly complain about a miraculous cellular breakthrough I couldn't touch because of administrative cowardice. I drafted fake email chains with European scientists and left my encrypted drive unlocked. I played the tortured genius perfectly. "This is the paper that rewrites modern medicine, and I'm forced to abandon it," I vented in the break room. Ethan took the bait instantly. He stole the drive, verified the stolen offshore data, and quietly submitted the groundbreaking paper to a leading medical journal, claiming sole authorship. He even secured a $5 million federal grant based on the abstract. While others get bogged down in red tape, I push boundaries. He gloated during his celebratory faculty dinner. I said nothing. Full story on the channel, link below.